Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Buckshot Thursday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, among other things, we're going to be talking about the Against All Enemies, quote-unquote, documentary. It's basically a review on that one and how it's actually just leftist propaganda disguised as a documentary. I'll tell you what, man. To start out with this review today, this shit made me physically angry within the first minute of the fucking thing. And then it just got worse and more progressively worse from there. And I couldn't even get through the whole thing, honestly. I got through about 40 minutes of it, give or take. And I got to the point where I wanted to fucking start flipping tables, honestly. Like, physically go and grab a table and just flip it the fuck over. Like, it pissed me off that much, honestly. Because it was nothing more. This whole fucking thing was nothing more than an attack on veterans who were once military in this country, and pretty much everybody that's not a leftist piece of shit, essentially. Like, obviously, it smeared veterans the most, it seemed like, in that 40 minutes I watched of it. But it was also attacking, like, literally everybody on the right, pretty much anybody on the center, too, for that matter. And yet, meanwhile, didn't say a damn word about Antifa terrorism, BLM terrorism, all this sort of leftist trash terrorism, etc. going on around there, dude. You know, people that burned down this fucking country 4 years ago, etc., etc. So it's a bunch of shit, honestly, dude. I do want to say something, though. Today's episode is sponsored by Aldi's Bananas, because this is what I was given today in my Instacart order today. So, yeah. These are about probably a day, maybe two from expiration entirely, to where they would go to make them do a bread. So pretty fucking disgusting in general. I'm actually pretty pissed off at the people that gave me that bunch of bananas, because usually what they'll do is they'll have the green stems there is what it is on the top, but like the rest of it will all be like right here to like all green and stuff. So it'll be like a day or two before you can actually eat them. But yeah, these are like way past fucking what I would want to get in there, dude. And especially the fact there's 7 of them here. Like, there's no way I'm eating these in that quick a time span, man. So yeah, it does bother me. I like mine a little bit green anyway, because it has, like, you can tell the different taste too, by the way, because when they're in this stage, they're pretty much ready to go already, is what it is to eat. And then some, because it starts having that, like, sugar breakdown is what it is. But then it also has a situation there where when they're green, they have, like, that hardness to them a little bit, and they have almost it's like a tartness, I guess is what I'd say, to them, which sometimes are not good eating that stage, because it's like, we're not supposed to eat on that stage too, because it can give you gas issues and stuff like that as well. But I always like mine a little bit, like, not completely ripe is what it is. Not, like, overly ripe like this are is what it is, but yeah, anyway. So, as it was, they also forgot my milk today, and my ice cream bars. So, I don't know if she just forgot a bag in the car and didn't realize it was still in there, or if she just, like, if they actually got out of both those items for some reason, which doesn't really make any sense for them to be out of, like, I can understand them being out of the ice cream bars maybe, but, like, being out of half gallons of milk, like, don't buy that one at all, dude. That seems weird. So, yeah, I don't know. That's why I gave my sister a call earlier, and I was like, hey, if you got charged with this stuff, like, make sure to call them out on that one, because they overcharge you then if that be the case. So, but yeah, anyway, I got the rest of it, though, so that's good. Hash brown things I ordered today, I thought was actually could be on the microwave, though, but I guess not. You have to actually either oven cook them or have, like, a skillet to fry them in with oil and shit like that, or put them in, like, an air fryer. So I'm going to try to do those in the oven later or something, maybe a couple of them. So, anyway. But, yeah, other than that, though, we're going to talk about a couple other things, too, for that matter, after we get to the meat and bones of the thing, which is this documentary. Here's what it is. I'm going to go over quite a bit of things that I wrote down of people that were involved in this whole thing from start to finish. This is basically the notes that I took for this whole thing. Let me go ahead and try to screenshot this, what it is right now. This was all the notes I took. Here's what it is. This is all the stuff that was in the first 40 minutes that was talked about and whatnot. So it basically goes all the way down to that is what it is then. Dude, I'll tell you what. So there's a woman I want to talk about to begin with. In this whole thing, whose name is Kathleen Barlow, or Below, I think is how to pronounce it. Yeah, Below. It's Beleew. Dude, this chick is the dumbest fucking cunt I've ever seen in my entire life. And this woman right here is the exact reason why people who are quote-unquote tenured professors need to be the first ones fired from colleges in this country, man. This woman is one of the biggest anti-white racist leftist pieces of shit I've ever seen in my entire life, dude. She was throughout this documentary just spewing all kinds of bullshit and basically being like, essentially what she was saying was, everything is white supremacy. It's like, yeah, we know everything's white supremacy, you leftist fucking twat. Why don't you shut your goddamn mouth for once, bitch? And mind you, this is the stupid fucking cunts, by the way. These are the idiots they let be professors in this country to why my second cousin is now a trans man. Because her parents are actually blaming the university around here that fucking caused her to basically think she's all fucking dude now and want to transition to a dude is what it is then. And they're rightfully so on that when they shoot that. Honestly, I've said it before. I told them years ago, I said, you should see the fuck out of that school system that it is, dude. Like, see that fucking college in the ground at this point, dude. Because you sent a daughter in there, you got back a fucked up fake son is what it is. So, as it is, what's even more fucked up is my cousin there is actually engaged now to an actual biological male, as far as I understand. So, explain that shit. Again, it's all fucking Looney Tunes. So anyway. But yeah, so I was saying though was yeah, so basically there's several people that were in this documentary that need to be sued for slander defamation. That Kathleen one was one of them. There's a guy named Ali, I think it's Sofan, that was the guy's name, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. That's how you pronounce it. He's an ex-Fed basically. And this piece of shit was doing all kinds of slander defamation against the Proud Boys and trying to basically equate them to like Al-Qaeda and jihadists and stuff like that. The funny thing is, he unknowingly admits at one point in this so-called documentary, that Islam actually is a terrorist organization on U.S. soil and other domestic terrorists on our country's soil right now, dude. Without saying as much. Because he's basically trying to slander Christians and like right-wing people as it was there. But unknowingly actually gave that to the whatchamacallit people, though. I also do want to mention a couple other things, too. This relates back to, before we get more into the documentary stuff, here's what it is. There's a couple other stories I want to cover real fast, and then we'll jump into the documentaries. Like the last story of the day is what it is, because it's going to be the most, here's what it'll be for that review. So you have several different things I want to talk about right now. So first off, we have Biden committing high treason for like the, 13,000th time now or something like that. Biden administration cancels plans to refill emergency oil reserve amid high prices. Like, dude, mind you, the emergency oil reserve in our country is literally, if we have to go to fucking war, it's a way to fill up all of our fucking military vehicles, whether it be planes, whether it be Humvees, whether it be MRAPs, all that stuff like that, dude. And this dumb motherfucker's like, oh no, we've drained the shit out of it. Let's not even refill it at all, dude. Like, how is that not destroying the sovereignty of a nation and not only that, but the military effectiveness of said nation? Because you're such an inept motherfucker and a cheating piece of shit and a fucking child molester, etc., that you're willing to actively fuck over our country if, God forbid, something does fucking pop off here. Which most likely, the way things are going right now, it's fucking dickhead Biden and the other goddamn globalists out here. They're going to be the ones fucking starting World War III in this fucking nation, dude. And honestly, the way things are going right now, we could easily have a crazy ass, what I consider to be Black Swan at that point, which would be where you have a Second American Civil War kicking off in this country, and at the same time we got World War III popping off at a, Earth level basically at that point then, between pretty much every nation. And that's one that I know Dead Horse and I got into the other day actually, because there was someone talking about the prophecy stuff is what it was. And it was Putin meeting with some African leader. I'm not sure if it was the leader of South Africa or if it was the leader of a different African nation or whatever the case be over there. But it was basically like what a joke the thing was. But the thing is, like, you got to think about it from this perspective, right? If we do have an actual third world war, every country could possibly be involved in it, man, at some level. So to sit there and like laugh and be like, oh yeah, it's just a joke that Putin's doing this or whatever the case be, it's like, it's not really though, bro, because it's like the dude's being strategic and didn't like strategical shit in places what it is then, to where potentially you could have something crazy like that happen. And honestly, it really does go and ring to the fucking thing of like, shit's about to go fucking nuts, I believe, dude. That's why, obviously, I labeled tomorrow's episode as 3 Days to Destruction, because it very well could be something where in 3 days or 4 days from now we actually have, you know, some crazy ass thing happen on the 8th is what it'll be for the eclipse there and stuff. So I still don't know how the hell I cut myself yesterday, but I don't know if you guys can see that right there. I sliced my finger right here pretty badly. Right there on my thumb is what it is. And it went like you can feel it's like a couple layers deep for sure. It's like a paper cut or something. I don't know if it was because I was pulling out pizzas from a box yesterday is what it was, the Tostino's ones. I don't know if I like sliced myself on the cardboard there is what it was, or if it was like perhaps the like stiff when I was trying to cut one of the things or whatever, if it was one of the plastic wrappers that like sliced through my finger there's what it was. But I just know it hurts like shit, dude. And I've put some Neosporin on a couple times now. It doesn't really seem to do anything, and it keeps like it almost feels like it needs to be like a single stitch in there or something. So because it definitely looks like it's like sort of split apart a little bit, not a ton, but just like a little bit to where it's not going to heal properly or whatever the case be. Like what I really need is one of those little. I saw them here recently. They're pretty cool. It's basically it's almost like a banded thing you put on your finger, and then it's like there's like it's like little like plastic pull tab things where you like pull it together, and it's almost like an invisible stitch thing, whatever the case be with having like stitch your shit together. What it is then. So, which brings to another story I want to talk about today, which is specifically this one that popped up in my feed about 20 minutes ago or so, which was cancer-causing forever chemicals found in Band-Aids where they can get directly into blood through open wounds, report warns. Fucking insane, dude. Yeah, so 65% of Band-Aids contained fluorine, a necessary component, and PFAs. PFAs, or forever chemicals, are in cookware, firefighting foam, and carpeting. Yeah, just fucking insane, dude. So, yeah, so Band-Aids from the most well-reputed brands, including Band-Aid and Cure-Aid, contain dangerous levels of forever chemicals, a shock report finds. Dude, I swear to God, they're trying to fucking kill us at this point. You know, I remember watching the American movie years ago, and it actually popped up in my X feed here today as well, because there was that one scene from it, where this old guy talking to this chick about killing 7 million people off is what it is. Or sorry, 7 billion people off, so there's like 500,000 left or whatever it is there, which is the straight prophecy stuff from the Georgia Guidestones, the ones that got blown up a couple like a year or two ago is what it was now. Which, ironically enough, is because people were starting to look into that shit at the time, because it was created by Bilderberg and shit, dude. I believe it was paid for by Ted Turner, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day. So, but yeah, just crazy shit, man, for sure. And again, just goes more into the point where it's like we're definitely in a really fucked situation, dude. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we're definitely heading towards a really, really bad time in this country's history right now, man. And like I was telling my cousin last night, I was saying, it's like, dude, we are to the point right now where we're about to see unprecedented stuff in our lifetime that's never happened before in any part in history. And he kind of just looked at me like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. So, and then we got this one that happened about an hour ago, give or take, which was that stupid ass No Labels party won't run third party campaign after trying to recruit a centrist presidential candidate. Probably because there is no fucking centrist anymore, you idiots. Like, that's the entire point. I know they were going to Joe Manchin at one point. It's like, dude, that guy's one of the biggest leftist turd fucking scumbag criminals out there is what it is. Like, there's really, like, honestly, unless they were going to go and be like, hey, Tim Pool, you want to run for president? Like, that's the only thing I would consider to be a centrist at this point, be like Tim Pool. And even then, he has labeled himself as a classic liberal, what it is, dude. So, but yeah, I would consider Tim to be like sort of a moderate centrist kind of, slightly left leaning, but not really kind of dude or whatever the case be. Like, it'd be him and whoever the fuck he picks as VP, then would be that ticket then, if that'd be the case. So, but yeah, other than that, like, I can't think of anybody else honestly off here right now. And I'm not even sure Tim's old enough right now. I think he might be. I think he may just be like a couple years or whatever above it is what it is there or something. I'm trying to think. I think isn't Tim like I want to say he's maybe 40 or so. Let me look that dude up real quick just to confirm this one. Oh no, he's only 38. Really? How the fuck is that dude younger than I am? By like almost a year. Or sorry, over a year younger than I am. I could have sworn he was in his 40s, dude. Like, Jesus. Now I feel fucking old. So, like, knowing that dude's like over a year younger than I am, it's like, damn, dude. So, anyway. Mentioning again about Dead Horse. Him and I got into it a little bit ago here because I mentioned something on Honda's Discord about this fucking stupid cunt named what's this woman's name now? Catalina something or other. Yeah, this dumb bitch right here. Who is now calling the Thin Red, says Fury as NYPD firefighters are forced to remove stars and stripes honoring 9/11 heroes as Democrat lawmaker branded a fascist symbol, meaning that Thin Red Line flag is what it is there. Which is such a bunch of shit entirely, dude. But yeah, it was a Manhattan councilwoman, Carlina Rivera. This stupid bitch right here who has no business being in power ever in this country. So, like, that's the problem, dude. It's like, you have people like that that are, like, anti-American and stuff, and I know Dead Horse was saying some shit about how it's like the flag itself is kind of a slap in the face to flag code is what it is, which, the thing is, truthfully speaking, dude, first off, how many Americans even really know about flag code, number one? I guarantee you it's not a whole lot. And even the ones that do, like, for instance, people like myself, right? Like, I know I've learned about it over the last couple of years and stuff, like 3-4 years ago, give or take, from G-Webs. And that's when he and I got into when I first met Guns Barbecue. And this was like, what was it, about 3.5 years ago now, something like that, is when John and I first were speaking and stuff like that. And the thing that's messed up is, because we got into it about the thing, because I was talking about, you know, the upside down flag and stuff like that, because we're in distress, or putting it backwards because we're in distress or whatever it is there. And he like got into it with me, and I was like, then chimed in about my, father being a, Navy vet and stuff like that is what it is. In Korean War is what it was, actually. And then we basically went back and forth about it, and eventually he like sort of changed my mind on the whole thing, and I understood more about like, what the deal was there is what it is. But at the same time, it's just like, I know I've forgotten a lot since then. And like, that's the thing, you have to talk to like Dead Horse or like G-Webs, one of these guys like that actually respects the flag code and understands like the whole thing is what it is. Because that's the problem. Like, we don't, and the real problem is, as far as my understanding is, we don't teach this stuff in schools, man. This is not stuff you really learn in school. It's stuff you learn if you're like in military is what it is. And then even then, like, who's to say some of those guys don't just say fuck it or forget it or don't even care about it is what it is then. So, and yeah, I think honestly all those flags are kind of a disrespectful flag to the U.S. flag personally, because it's, whether it be the thin red line, thin blue line, all that stuff like that, because you're basically disgracing an American flag is what it is. It's like the same bullshit where you have multiple countries, like when they're trying to do those weird like half flags is what it is, where it's like 2 or 3 countries together, and it's like, half of it's like American flag, and the other half is like fucking like the German flag, or like a French flag, or an Italian flag, or an Irish flag, or something like that. Like, it's basically a slap in the face to everybody, dude, at that point. Or it's like the ones that, I know I saw one before, it was like half US flag, half Ukrainian flag, and I'm just like, get the fuck out of here with that shit, dude. Like, you're basically slapping both countries in the face at that point, for real. And that's the way I feel about that whole thing, man, is what it is. So that's my personal take on it right now. So, and the thing is, I understand what Dead Horse was saying, though. It's like, yeah, if this Carlina woman actually was legitimately about, like, them disrespecting flag code, that's one thing. But that's not what it was about at all. What it was about was her literally trying to fucking grandstand to eventually run for higher office, I believe. Because as she said it, it was a quote-unquote fascist symbol. Yes, this downtown New York City firefighting company was told by a local councilwoman that they must remove from their truck a flag commemorating men who lost their lives on 9/11. Said progressive councilwoman Carlina Rivera's office told the latter company They had received multiple complaints about the, quote, political flag. Like, what a fucking joke, dude. So authorities in New York City Fire Department commended a ladder company in the East Village, commanded a ladder company in East Village to remove a flag honoring 6 of the company's men who perished on 9/11 after the resident received complaint. After a resident complained, mind you, one resident is what they're saying there, from my understanding of this whole thing, complained it was quote unquote a fascist symbol. Or you could just tell that Antifa pro-Palestine fuckboy to go fuck themselves is what it is, dude. Seriously. I mean, hell, you have these assholes now who are all pro-Palestine trying to create a fucking Chaz in the damn park there in downtown Manhattan is what it is, bro. Not only that, but then you also got, from what I heard last night, there's another one now that's going to be pretty much Chaz 2.0 there in fucking Seattle, Washington area, if not mistaken, because it's a bunch of illegals and shit like that who had to have interpreters to fucking even tell people what the hell they were saying, because they don't fucking speak a goddamn word of English is what it is. And be like, yeah, we want fucking free housing. If you're not going to give us free housing, we're just going to set up this illegal fucking tent city right here in this park that's all used by kids and stuff. And it's all tennis courts and shit they're taking over and stuff like that to put these big ass tents down. So, and I said it before, dude. I said it last time we had the fucking Chaz back in 2020. I said, you know, people are only going to put up with that shit for so long, dude, is what it is. And the only reason it went on as long as it did there with Jenny Durkin and company is because it was literally something where it was not personally affecting her, and it wasn't until then City Councilwoman Kamisha Sawant, who's a fucking foreign national from India, who has no business being in power in this country at all for that matter, because Sawant herself is a fucking communist sack of shit by her own admission. She's like, I forget exactly what the party she runs, or it's like Communist Revolution Party or something crazy like that. What it is, something nuts like that. That's what it is, man. But yeah, it's some like commie party there in Washington State. And mind you, Durkin's address was not public record, which it's supposed to, like, stuff like that's supposed to be for like mayors and like city council people and stuff like that, and like same thing with like state reps and shit like that, which you can actually know where the people live is what it is then. So you know for a fact they're actually living within the district representing is what it is, stuff like that. And the reason that Durkin's was not public knowledge at that time was because she was part of Obama's administration in some capacity or something, like an advisor or something in like some weird role or whatever. To where, because it was like federal, like I don't know exactly what the deal was, but I know it was something where it was like federalized or whatever, to where it was basically hidden from the American people, so it was. But Sawant herself, being a city councilwoman at the time, had the ability to go and find Durkin's address, did so, gave it to the Antifa and BLM terrorist people, who then went to Durkin's house and tried to start a second Chaz on her front lawn. This was like a month into the original one is what it was there. And within about 10 to 12 hours of that, is when you had the original Chaz get busted up by the fucking Seattle State Police is what it is, dude. So, you know, it's very interesting that the left doesn't give a shit about the American people, by the way, that were fucking kidnapped for a month of their lives in that area, that were held for extortion and literally violently gang raped, etc. there. Hell, you have people being murdered in that fucking place throughout that entire like 3 to 4 week time span that existed is what it was there. Then you had that fucking piece of shit SoundCloud rapper Raz Simone, who took over as a de facto warlord after the original person that was supposed to be like the leadership of the fucking Chaz was some weird ass supposed trans person who ended up being outed as a fucking abuser by their original partner or whatever the case be there. That they like sexually abused this person or whatever the case be. And as soon as that came out, they stepped down and were like, oh, sorry, everybody, I'm out of here right now. And like they were basically drummed out of the place that it was. And then you had that power vacuum being open. You had fucking, you know, piece of shit terrorist Raz Simone, who, by the way, should literally be sitting in Washington State Prison right now, if not in federal prison right now, on about 14 different weapons charges. And then, as well as multiple other felonies for that matter, too, on top of that. Like, literally, should be federal terrorism on that one. And they should also, well, should be sitting in 2 different prison systems right now. He should be sitting in federal prison doing stints for federal terrorism stuff. And then as soon as that prison term ends, he should be going back to state prison then in Seattle, Washington area there. For literally breaking a whole bunch of gun laws in the Washington State area is what it is there. So, now granted, I don't actually agree with that shit, honestly, because, you know, fuck all those gun laws is what it is, but at the same time, it's like, if they're on the books and this asshole's doing the shit, like, you know, he should go to prison for that stuff. It's not like they wouldn't do that stuff to right-wing people at that point, dude, or any kind of centrist person, but yet, because it's some fucking left-wing turd box I'm not going to do that to that fucking dick smoke is what it is. Which, by the way, I'm going to start saying dick smoke a lot in this episode today. When we review this whole thing for this movie review is what it is there. And because there's a lot of motherfucking dick smokers in this whole fucking that was in that first 40 minutes or so, dude. Like a bunch of massive cunts is what it is, dude, for real. But anyway, so yeah, it's a bunch of shit, dude, entirely, because yeah, that Rivera woman has no fucking doesn't really give a fuck is what it is. She just wants to make a name for herself so she can seek higher office at some point in the future. What it'll be. My assumption is she's probably doing this whole thing so she can either probably run for a state rep's office, or it's going to be like state senator or something like that, or maybe even she'll be trying to run for like lieutenant governor or something in the future. Or if she's going to run for Congress for that matter, it could just be her trying to do like drumming up, name recognition and stuff like that right now for like a 2026, congressional run or something like that. It'll be then. So, because eventually you're going to have old ass motherfuckers like Nadler and stuff like that be, out of office. And I'm sure she probably is like the one that would be groomed to take his ass over is what it is for that seat is what it is there. So, but anyway, so anyway, going back to the Against All Enemies review, there's what it is. So the first 40 seconds of this piece of shit starts out with obvious left-wing bullshit propaganda being spewed by this guy named Michael Byrne, Breen, who was, and it's interesting how they label people in this whole thing because they're saying what their name was obviously at some point, and then it was like behind them was like the title of what they were in the military, and it was usually like former this or former that, or it was like something, and then it was like retired or whatever the case be. So this Michael guy, he was a former Army airborne officer. And then of course after that it was basically this bullshit questions about like people joining militias, and like it essentially was like talking about like like it was essentially the oath that they take when they join military is what it is, and it would be a constitutionally sworn oath at that point. You're fighting against both enemies, foreign and domestic. And then of course it basically drum beats into this whole monologue thing or whatever, and like basically straight up lies about what the fucking thing really is what it is there about, the whole enemies, foreign and domestic thing. So it's really fucking disgusting. Like I said, dude, it's all left wing propaganda trash. The one thing I thought was interesting though, at least in the majority of this I watched is what it was. The only time that they showed the guys that are obviously the Fed boys are called Patriot Front was in the main montage for the opening of this whole thing. So from there, about 3.5 minutes in, we're introduced to a guy that went by Eric General E. Brennan, who was a former Army infantry from Texas. He was loading a 5.56 mag, talking about guns, giving us our freedoms, etc. This is one thing I thought was weird about the way that they did this too, because he also had an unloaded Jericho 941 sitting on top of a Bible on a table. So I'm assuming that was something where it was supposed to just be like that weird like pan shot or whatever the case be, to be like, oh yeah, this guy's like pro-America, pro-Bible, whatever the case be there, whatever. They then proceed to show Eric shooting his AR. So one thing I found a little bit off about this whole thing was you would think, right, if you're going to be out there on your property and you're shooting like a gun or whatever the case be, would you not have a sling on said gun so you can have it like attached to yourself, especially if you're going to go through like fences and stuff and you got to like take off like chain to get through a fence or whatever the case be? But no, this guy did not have that on his gun, which I thought was weird. He had like no sling, he had no nothing for it. He was just basically holding it in his hand, and then he had to sit it down to basically unhook a fence. That's what it was then. And then it showed him basically, because I thought it was kind of weird at first, because I was like, why is this guy shooting so close to target is what it is? Because he was legit like maybe 10 yards out from the target is what it was at the time, if even that far. And he like popped up a couple rounds in, and then I realized after the fact, because if you keep watching it after that then or whatever, he was doing like an interest, I forget exactly what kind of drill it's supposed to be, but it's definitely like military related drills is what it is. Because it would essentially be fighting, it would be trying to fight from different positions and stuff, because he starts out at like, 8-10 yards, whatever it is there to begin with. to do like, close-up shots and stuff. And then it's, walk back another 10 feet or sort of like run back another 10 feet, whatever it is there. And, take a couple more shots on target, go to a different spot, like another few feet back or a few feet over, whatever the case be, take another couple shots, et cetera, et cetera. And then eventually it's however far you can go before you don't hit target anymore is what it is, which one thing I thought was very interesting with this guy was he actually not only does not have the sling on there, he was only shooting with iron sights. And then he mentioned the whole thing about like how, that's how he would like basically was taught to shoot by his grandfather and stuff like that. And he was discussing about how, it's like having been military is what it is there and like being in engagements and shit. He's like, yeah, batteries run dry and red dots and what have you there. And you can always rely on your irons is what it is. The thing about it is though, it's not like you don't still have like an open piece of glass though, bro. Like you could easily have like that co-witness is what it is. So to me, it just seemed very like kind of, Now I'm not saying if you can like, if you like, that's the thing. If you have good enough eyesight and you can actually just go with like irons only, bro, like good for you, man. Like that's awesome. People like myself who our eyesight is shit, honestly, we not only need like red dots, we actually need like either magnifiers behind them or like a fucking scope on these guns. So we can actually have like a clear sight picture because of our, nearsighted, farsightedness and stuff like that's what it is. So anyway, from there, just before the 6-minute marking, we shift to New York to a guy named Christopher, which is spelled really weird, by the way, Goldsmith, who was a former Army forward observer. I actually looked into this because I'm like, what the fuck even is that? So apparently what they do is you're essentially a guy that has the binoculars and you're telling people that are doing the mortar rounds of like where to fire, basically is what it is there. Which he got more into that after that because he was talking about how his role went from being that to being like essentially like a photographer essentially for the squad and shit. At one point when they found a bunch of dead bodies, and that's where he basically got PTSD and the whole thing. And that's one thing I thought was interesting about this guy. This guy basically starts out as if he's like, sort of like pro-2A, pro-military, stuff like that, pro-America. And then by the time it basically, where I got to at the 40-minute mark or so, it was him like shit talking people like Stuart Rhodes and like just doing a bunch of other shady shit, honestly, to where I don't know if this guy was just like paid to be a dick or what it was, but he like obviously has like PTSD issues, what it is though. And it makes sense if you're, seeing like a whole fucking stack of dead bodies over there in Iraq, Iran, wherever the fuck it was there you're at. So anyway, but, yeah, he was basically then explaining like during his little introduction there about being sold a bill of goods about what and who was really responsible for 9/11 and how he joined up in the military at the age of 18 in 2003 is what it was there, which is kind of ironic because looking at that dude and looking at my own personal like time of that time period of history there is what it is and my memories and stuff like that. I had a very similar experience, dude. I was 16 when 9/11 happened. I was I was held back a few times, obviously. I should have technically been a sophomore at the time, but I was actually a freshman at the time. And I was actually in a history class of all things. And yeah, you had somebody banging on our door, and they're like, quick, turn on TV. And as soon as our teacher did, it was the second plane popping into the second tower then. So, and I seriously considered for like a good, 6 months to a year of my life about like, oh, I want to join up. But then I was like, I was too young or whatever the case be. But then by the time it came where I was 18 then, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm joining fucking military, dude, because I already realized like what it was a shit show over there and stuff like that, and there was no reason to do that is what it was then. So, but anywho, unfortunately, this guy was the opposite of that. He, got hoodwinked and stuff and sold that bill of goods is what it was there. And then this is basically where we start out with stupid bitch Kathleen Burlow, or Belo, however much name there is what it is. So yeah, within a minute of them introducing that Goldsmith guy, you have this dumb fucking cunt, Kathleen, who is an associate professor of, quote, history at Northwestern University, which, by the way, the amount of people that she slandered in this thing, from Proud Boys to pretty much every other group, whether it be Oath Keepers, etc., there, dude. Every single one of these groups need to sue her fucking ass for slander defamation after this thing, dude. The same thing with that Alley guy too, because they slander these people seriously, dude, to the point where it's like like Kyle Rittenhouse levels of slander basically on these groups and stuff like that, man. So if you're part of any of these groups, man, whether it be Oath Keepers, whether it be Proud Boys, etc., dude, you need to seriously not only sue her, sue Northwestern University. And I would go as far as to find out who was actually behind this documentary, the people that actually funded it and shit like that, and go after their fucking asses too, for that matter. For obviously pushing like slander and defamation shit in this fucking thing. So, as so-called truth and a documentary, et cetera, there. Because it's all fucking lies at the end of the day, dude, for real. But yeah, so anyway. So this Kathleen woman is a associate professor of history at Northwestern University and the author of a book called Bring the War Home. And she's basically, and mind you, like I said, this is about 7 minutes. I think it's about 7 minutes, 8 minutes or so in the documentary. Here's what it is when she's introduced there. And she's bitching about, quote, anti-democratic violence, racist violence, and then Klan and white power groups. Then goes on to claim that, quote, everyone gets more violent after a warfare, even if they didn't serve in it. Talking about like the civilianry and stuff like that, and how we don't know what a 20-year war looks like for everybody that's getting violent now, or whatever the case being. It's like, or I don't know, maybe stealing a fucking presidency gets people pissed off, people. Maybe doing a bunch of other fucking shady shit for years now. Maybe actually fucking over the American people every chance you get is what's pissed us off. Maybe lying about fucking shit and putting young men and women through a goddamn meat grinder to where you have people having their fucking legs blown off, their arms blown off, their fucking heads blown off, and IEDs and shit like that. You know, you got people like that crispy dude who was one of the Black Rifle guys' buddies. The dude literally almost got burned alive. He literally has second and third degree burns on his body for life now. Because he was like 18 or 19 years old at the fucking 50 cal shooting off and stuff where the ammo was cooking in the fucking boxes, what it is there. And was getting burned up from below and onto his arms and shit like that. That's why his hand's all fucked up too, because he's missing like a finger because it had to get fused together and shit like that from his other hand. Like, these are the guys that should be fucking pissed, by the way. Like, these are the guys that should want fucking revenge against the turn up of government at this point, dude, for real. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it oh my God, man. Like, if you watch this thing with an open mind, you're not pissed off within 5 minutes of starting this fucking deal, man. You are not paying attention at all. And if you're just some leftist douche that fucking throws it on and watches it, you're just like, oh yeah, and January 6th was worse than 9/11. Like, shut the fuck up, you fucking dick-sucking, dick smokers, fucking cock-sucking cunts, basically, fucking idiots. It's like that idiot Seth Milton, like that fucking jackass was in there, fucking dipshit Jason Crow was in there. Some other dumb cunt from New Jersey that's a fucking congressman was in there talking about fucking January 6th and how they were all stuck up on a fucking balcony because they're too dumb to know what the fuck they're doing is what it is there, man. Yet, meanwhile, refused to actually admit what they were doing was legitimately committing high fucking treason in this country by certifying a fucking cheater into the presidency. So, yeah, it's just fucking bullshit entirely. But anyway, from Kathleen's dumbass, we then go to retard anti-gunner and Colorado congressman himself, Jason Crow, who apparently was a former Army Ranger, of all things. Which, this is one thing I've realized, too, by the way, with these kind of people, is you'll have people like Jason Crow, or here at a state level, you have people like Casey Weinstein, or I'm trying to think what the other one was. It was a woman who ran with John Crenley for the governor's race in 2022 there, who obviously lost Democrat pick is what it was there. I think she's now like a councilwoman or something at a city level or something. But yeah, she was Democrat state senator here for a while. I want to say it's Teresa, but I don't think that's what it is. Yeah, because it wouldn't be, because Gavarrone's still in there, and that's just Republican. It was somebody else. I feel like maybe it was Teresa something. I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, this woman obviously was a military, like Air Force person or whatever the case was. I don't think she ever saw combat is what it was either, for that matter. And that's one thing I've noticed too with a lot of these people, like the ones that never actually saw combat, or like in Casey's case, like I know he was like that's the thing too, by the way. Like there's a difference between like being like actively on the front lines of a military engagement and shit, and being some fucking lawyer douchebag back at some fucking barracks on some fucking base someplace, dude. And that's exactly what Weinstein was during his entire fucking career in the military is what it was, dude. He was just some lawyer guy for the fucking military. Like, he was just some dude pushing paperwork in the fucking office is what it is there. And I guarantee you him and like a lot of other people for that matter that are running for office on this whole, you know, I'm a military vet thing. Like, none of them ever actually held a fucking gun in military, dude, is what it was. Because they didn't join the military for that thing. They joined to go be like a lawyer or be like a consultant kind of person, or whatever that'd be the case then. In that kind of role, to where you didn't actually have to learn the basic ins and outs of how to shoot. Or if they did, it was like, you know, maybe like one day on the fucking range or something like that is what it was then. And that's their entire experience with any kind of gun in the military is what it is then. So, but yeah, it's just a fucking joke is what it is, dude. And I know Duke was mentioning this last night on Match Chat about how there used to be like a big gripe between different service people as it was there. And like who was really a vet and who wasn't. It was because you had people that were actual combat vets and you had other people that never saw combat and stuff like that. And now he said it's basically this kind of like weird shift where it's not really that thing anymore at all. It's more like, you know, we all were in military or some capacity, whatever the case be, but then you have like these people that are, you know, obviously like anti-gun veterans, and you got people who are all, you know, super pro 2A, still keeping their oath that they swore to the Constitution is what it was there, to defend against, you know, foreign enemies and domestic enemies for the matter. And that's the biggest thing with a lot of the problems in this whole thing right now is going to back to the documentary. Here's what it is. That was one recurring theme in the whole thing, was how you had all these people basically shit-talking militias in this country, which, by the way, our country was literally founded on militias, you dumb fucks. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. If it wasn't for our founding fathers literally creating a constitutional militia in this country, we would not be our own nation. We would still be a fucking British Empire nation here in 2024. We would still be bowing down to kings and queens fucking 1,000 miles away, basically, over fucking seas and shit, dude. We would be with that fucking cuck bitch Justin Trudeau is right now, which is basically a prime minister of a fucking country that technically is under the rule of the royal family right now. And King Charles specifically is what it is. So, for those who don't know, that's what Canada actually is. It's a British territory. So is Australia, for that matter, which used to be a prison colony back in the day. But yeah, Australia is also one of these ones that's under technically the royal family's rule is what it is. Just like Scotland, just like Ireland, all places like that, man. They're all under the fucking the monarchy is what it is there. And that's why America was like, fuck you cunts. We ain't paying you bullshit taxation. We're gonna be a bunch of free people. We're gonna have freedom of religion and freedom of the press and freedom of speech, etc. And if you try to fuck with that, guess what? We're gonna shove a fucking gun up your ass, is what it is. And call it the Second Amendment, bitch. And that's what they did. So, anyway. But yeah, you got, let's see, Dipshit Crow. By the way, Jason Crow is also the same dipshit who, a couple years back now, there was a shooting in a place called Highlands Ranch. It was a tech school in Colorado there for high schoolers. And mind you, the duo that tried to commit a massacre there was a dude who was gay and a person who was claiming to be transgender. And yet this fucking idiot, Jason Crow, went to that school and was trying to use the whole thing to push gun control. And people were like, fuck you, dude, it's mental illness. And literally got up in mass out of that gymnasium and walked the fuck out the door and told him to go fuck himself to his face is what it was. And all I gotta say is good on those kids, man. But yeah, Crow's BS about his time in the war and stuff like that went directly into the whole January 6, 2021 BS narrative thing is what it is there, which is where we were introduced to a woman named Mikey Sherrill, I think that's how to pronounce her name, who was a former Navy pilot. She's a congresswoman from New Jersey, and she's just a scumbag too is what it is, dude. Because she was one of the people that was because from my understanding, what she was saying was about 24 or so congresspeople were left up in that gallery thing. There's what it was, because they quote unquote had no safe place to get out of there. But yeah, it was her in that. There's those famous pictures of like Jaya Pole trying to hide and cower like a little fucking cunt that she is, basically, and is what it is, dude. And that's the thing, right? Like, that's the one thing about this whole thing, dude. That is the one time in U.S. history where these fuckers were actually scared for once. Where they actually had a fear of the citizenry, which is what should have been that case, honestly. And that's the thing, right? Like, you obviously have Jason Crow falsely claiming that it was an insurrection. You got fucking dipshit Seth Milton falsely claiming that shit too in this whole documentary. You had that fucking piece of shit Goldsmith guy then eventually say the same bullshit. And the thing is, bro, if that was really an insurrection act, do you really, really, really think that people like Stuart Rhodes, the rest of the fucking Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, and all these other fucking people that were there, do you really think they would have been there unarmed, dude? No, they would have already walked in there heavily fucking armed and just started capping people at that point. If that was really the insurrection you fucking trying to claim it was, you would have this country's history right now, 3 years ago, be like 50 to 100 dead congressmen, mostly Democrats. You know, if not more than that. But no, we all know it's bullshit, dude. We all know there's so much footage out there that shows it's fucking police letting these people into the fucking thing. They're removing barricades for them. Because in the most cases, it was undercover Antifa dressed up in fucking MAGA gear, dude. It was a bunch of agent provocateurs like fucking Ray's ass, the fucking Fed boy guy, who only caught like a single charge, that's what it was. So, yeah, it's a bunch of crap entirely, dude. So anyway, yeah, then from there we get a voiceover about, quote, U.S. military veterans swore an oath to defend the country. And it's like, no, you dumb motherfucking narrator. They swore an oath to defend our country against enemies, both foreign and domestic, a.k.a. what the cheater-ass Democrat Party currently is and the people that they fucking installed in power like Biden. From there, it then jumps back and forth to Jason Crow and that woman lying about what really happened on January 6th. Then goes to the piece of shit Seth Milton, who was he's a Democrat congressman from Massachusetts. He's also a former Marine officer, apparently, talking about the War of 1812 and the Capitol breach that happened then. That's the only other time in history that supposedly happened, or whatever the case be. And then again, trying to equate it to like an insurrection shit is what it is. And it's like, fuck you, Seth, you fucking scumbag. But for those who don't know what Seth Milton looks like, this guy has the most punchable face ever. I swear to God, man. Like, this dude is one of the people. Like, if I had the ability to fight like 10 people right now that are politicians, this guy would be one of the top ones on the fucking list right now, dude. Because I actually want to knock this dude's fucking teeth out myself right now. Is what it is. But yeah, this is what this fucking cockstain looks like right here. This fucking piece of trash, dude. This guy looks like a fucking demon pedophile, by the way. He looks like, just several of these pictures actually look like someone that's been possessed by fucking demons, dude. Like, he just looks like a slimy son of a bitch, sack of shit, really, is what it is, dude. Like, the guy's just such a piece of shit in general. Like, you just know this motherfucker's an NPC, by the way, dude. Like, he's just a fucking clown, dude, is what he is. I'll tell you who he kind of reminds me of. He kind of looks a little bit like John Husted, the current lieutenant governor of Ohio. Here's what it is. I'm actually going to go ahead and type in Husted's name at this point. Yeah, they have a very similar look to each other. It's mostly that like weird like forehead, five head they got going on there is what it is. To where it's like the hairlines where she did enough to where it's like a bigger forehead and stuff. It's probably, I'm guessing it's probably like some Anglo-Saxon. Because I know they said that before, honestly, with our country and stuff. Like, if you go back far enough, we're all like 23rd cousins or something like that's what it is. So it could very well be something like that, where they're both like from the same like bloodline, and they're probably like, you know, 6th, 7th cousins or something. Would be my guess, honestly, at this point. So it's probably nothing more than that, honestly. Because the thing about Husted too is I know for a fact he actually mentioned something about how he never actually knew his biological family because he was adopted as a baby, is what it was. So it could be very well that him and Seth Milton are actually like related, like first, second cousins, even for that matter. Might be even higher than that if that be the case. You know, hell, they could be fucking long lost brothers for that matter. That'd be kind of funny if that actually was the case. So, but no, seriously though, Seth's a jackass for real. From there, we go to a guy named Michael Washington, who is a master sergeant in the Marines, or retired. He's obviously retired, obviously. He is also a, quote, veteran mental health therapist, who then went on a whole thing talking about how his son was killed in the Iraq War in 2008, quote, to form a more perfect union in the U.S., which is absolute bullshit. It's like, no, bro, your fucking son was literally 18, 19 years old, pushing the fucking meat grinder by scumbags George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, under the false guise of fucking terrorism, where they lied about who was really behind 9/11, and you had the mainstream media lie for them about fucking weapons of mass destruction and stuff like that, which is why your son was in Iraq to begin with. There's what it was, which was Bush's whole thing about invading that shit, was because he tried to use that shit as a prelude to get one back for his fucking daddy who couldn't beat Saddam the first time around. Is what it was, dude. That's the only reason we're even in that country. Because that's the thing, right? Like, if it was really supposed to be about like one thing, dude, it would have been Afghanistan only. Like, that's who they claimed did it. They claimed it was fucking Bin Laden. We should have never even been in another country after that, dude. If that's what it was really about, dude. It should have been Afghanistan only for a couple of years. Did what we needed to do there. Got the fuck back out. But no, we didn't do that. You had us invade literally other parts of the Middle East as well. And I want to point something out, too, for the matter. The 20-year war that we had in that time between 9/11 and 2021, with the failed pullout of Afghanistan and stuff, was quite literally every single country that we went into, whether it be Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, all these places like that, dude. None of these countries before that had anything to do with the Rothschild family. After they were invaded, every single one of them now has a Rothschild central bank in it now. Not to mention when you look into how much money was taken from these countries and various gold reserves and stuff like that, put into a fucking truck and handed to Israel for nothing. So they could build mansions over in that fucking place. That's one thing that pissed me off too, by the way, back in the day. Was this was about 2004, 2005 place in there, when I first heard about that stuff, was you had literally fucking truckloads of gold bars going to different places in Israel to rich-ass elitist people over there, so they could build giant mansions over there where you literally had Americans over here starving to death on the streets that were veterans of this fucking country, dude, that were fighting these fucking wars, that came back all fucking PTSD'd after 1, 2, or what it was, that lost a limb, lost a fucking, hand, arm, whatever the hell it was, foot. Or maybe they weren't, physically damaged like that. Maybe they were emotionally damaged in the fucking head. Because that's the real thing, right? You can see the physical scars on people. You can see when somebody's lost a hand, lost an eye, lost a fucking foot, lost a whole arm or a whole leg, or has burns on themselves, whatever it is, like their face is all burned up. They got blown up an IED, whatever it is, dude. You know what you don't see though? You don't see the fucking emotional scars from the rest of that unit that had to sit there and pull that guy's burning body out of that fucking shit, dude. And how fucked up they get psychologically from that kind of stuff. And it shit gets me emotional. It does. Because I know for a fact that my father had to see some of that shit when he was fighting for this country in Korea. And that a bunch of my cousins and my uncles had to see that shit in various wars they fought in. I had multiple uncles that fought in Vietnam that almost lost their lives to fucking grenade bombings and shit from these fucking people, dude. And I've had cousins that came back and they've told me stories about friends that they've lost overseas. And it makes me so emotional. And it pisses me off to see how fucked up our country's gotten to this point where we allow these fucking people to just be used up like this, man. Like, seriously, how many great bloodlines in this country have been wiped out because of fucking scumbag greed? Legitimately. It's way too fucking many. Seriously, how many sons, how many daughters have been lost to bullshit, dude? It's a lot. It's too fucking many. One is too many, honestly, man. There's very few movies that make me cry, that make me shed a tear, or just break down crying, honestly. And there's one of them that does, and it's based on real life. And it's that movie, The Outpost from 2020, because I know what these fucking guys had to go through. And watching them be ambushed in the dumbest fucking possible place they could have been in a literal fucking fishbowl, to where Every enemy had the fucking high ground on these men, and you had these dumb motherfuckers in power. Under the Bush administration, under the Obama administration, leaving these guys over there to get fucking killed. And it's like, why, dude? Like, why would you put an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid in that fucked up situation? And then again, you wonder why these guys come back fucking pissed if they come back at all. So, yeah. I'm going to need a minute. All right. That should be good now. But anyway. So then we go to they start doing a back and forth between the four idiots that were mentioned previously, which was Crow, that Mikey woman, or how to pronounce her name there, Seth Milton, and then this Mike Washington guy. Before that Mike dude eventually talks about the fucking falsely calls January 6th insurrection and stuff like that. Then we go back to that Goldsmith dude talking about the day he basically got PTSD in 2015 when he was in Iraq, which he didn't actually specifically say he got PTSD from this, but you could tell he did, obviously, because, like I said, he was discussing about at that point he had his role sort of shifted from being the observer guy to like say, oh yeah, you know, like 15 degrees west, 14 degrees south, or something like that, where we're supposed to go and shit, to basically this camera guy for the unit is what it was. And what he was explaining was how they were basically told about a body in this like little town or whatever there in some part of Iraq, so it was. And then when they actually got there, it was like a whole pile of fucking bodies in like a dumpster, basically, that were left there with like tape on their eyes and shit like that and everything else like that. And again, it's like, you see fucked up shit like that, dude. Like, how are you not supposed to come back emotionally scarred and damaged at that point? And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not the fucking physical scars that are the ones that are going to hurt the most. It's the emotional scarring on your psyche that cannot be dealt with. You know, we train these young men and women to be killers 18 years old and send them overseas to go kill the so-called fucking enemy. And then you ask them to come back a year or two down the road at 19, 20, whatever it is, as a combat veteran, and expect them to just flip that fucking switch off, dude. You don't just flip that fucking shit off, dude. You know? And it's... There's not even really words at this point, honestly, to express just the frustration of all of it, dude. So, anyway. Anyway, after that Goldsmith guy talking about his bad deal there in 2015 there in Iraq, we then go back to that Eric dude talking about some stuff relating to his time in the war with a couple of minutes before it then shifts to Portland, Oregon, and one of the Proud Boys guys who was a former chapter leader in New York State named Randy Ireland, who is a ex Air Force airman, and he's discussing like various things about some stuff, and then it goes to this fucking dick smoker named Ali Safan, who is an ex-Fed, specifically FBI is what he was, and he's now the CEO of the Safan group, which I actually looked into this whole thing. And literally what this group is, they're fucking mercs. It's an armed security company that does mercenary work is what it is, dude. And then you got this dude, starts literally shit-talking the Proud Boys, which is going to be the defamation lawsuit I was talking about earlier, by the way. Comparing them to ISIS and Al-Qaeda and stuff like that. And then tries to act like the Proud Boys are also white hate for that matter, even though they've admitted themselves Western chauvinists and of all races, colors, creeds, etc. there. And then it flips back to Randy saying they're not. Then they basically it's really weird how they transition and stuff in this thing because it's like a couple seconds of one person, then it's like a few seconds of another person, then it goes back to that stupid cunt Kathleen again, chiming back in, falsely claiming, quote, the militant right or all white hate, basically. As if the militant left hate that fucking thing. I mean, hell, like seriously, I've seen more racism from the Antifa chapters than I have in any part of anything, either center or right in this country that would be considered malicious and stuff, dude. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in small doses and stuff, because I'm sure there's like a guy or two that's an asshole like that's what it is. But yeah, you can legitimately look at the Antifa chapters. The entire fucking thing is what it is, dude. These terrorist assholes on the left, and they're all fucking racist pieces of shit, dude. They're all a bunch of commie fucking pieces of shit that are racist as hell. You know, it's like that 1 year ago where it was back in, I'm trying to think, I think it was the beginning of Trump's administration, like it was either 17 or 18 maybe. And it was at some ICE facility there in Portland, I believe is what it was. They were trying to occupy and stuff. And it was some black cop who was taking out one of their, it was one of their guys that got running, I believe was what it was. And you had this black cop like running after him, whatever the case be. And there was like another black cop that was walking towards their direction, whatever the case be. And this piece of shit Antifa guy is like, "Oh, you're just an insert N-word here to the white man," and saying this is the fucking cop, by the way. And that's when you basically have the chick that's filming the stuff like try to put her hand over the mic real quick so it can't be heard, but it's obviously being heard at the time is what it is. And that's the thing, dude. It's like, and that's the problem with Antifa in a nutshell right there. It's they try to cuck for their own people is what it is, dude, because they're all fucking enablers of that shit. They don't give a fuck, because it's like, yeah, you'll have one that'll be super openly racist like that or whatever the case. But then you have like 10 around them that'll just be like, bro, don't say that on camera kind of thing. But that's how they all think is what it is, dude. Because they're all fucking secret. Like, truthfully, the matter of those people is they're actually the ones that actually are white hate in this country, man. They always have been. You know, there's a reason why when you look at the Antifa out with their masks off, dude, almost every single one of them is a fucking white meth head, basically. You know, and then you got BLM, who's a bunch of black supremacists and stuff like that, for the most part. And the only thing they have in common is basically their hatred for Americans and capitalism and everything else like that is what it is then. Because they're all a bunch of communist dipshit indoctrinated retards is what it is. So, anyway. But, then following Kathleen's BS about all the militant right people is what it is, you got some leftist dick smoke named Simon Clark, who is the so-called director of foreign policy in America. He's also an author of a book called Terror Vanquished, who then shit talks white people in general before they then cut this whole thing to a clip from Charlottesville 2017 PSYOP. And what's funny about that too, by the way, is I want to mention that real quick. Actually, people don't know this because this is actually information I learned about years ago when that was happening and stuff. Is not only were the cops told to stand down in Charlottesville by then Governor Terry McAuliffe, you also had the mayor of Charlottesville, who was a guy named, I believe, Mike, if I'm not mistaken, who was a Hillary Clinton like bottom bitch essentially. And then you had Wes Bellamy, who was a black supremacist dude who was the vice governor, or sorry, not vice governor. He was the vice mayor of that town is what it was. And he was pushing BLM terrorism like fucking crazy that weekend. And then, like I said, you had the cops being told by Terry to stand down and being told by the mayor as well to stand down for that matter and basically just walk away. And then you had Antifa and BLM being allowed to literally stage fucking caches of weapons around that place where they had like literal fucking coolers they could just pull the fucking lid off of. And it had like all kinds of clubs and bats and a couple guns and shit is what it was there. And it was all around like stage. It was all like staged areas around there. It was full of it was like bushes. It was like different sets of bushes. So they just put a fucking cooler behind what it was, full of weapons is what it was then. And you had like the one guy that used the makeshift flamethrower where he had a can of aerosol stuff and a fucking lighter is what it was, like a Zippo or something. And he was just like spraying people and shit. Or you had that one piece of shit, black supremacist asshole from the BLM side who had a big ass fucking metal mag light where he tried to crack someone on the head with it, which then led to that famous ass thing in that parking garage where he had about 6 white guys beating the fuck out of his ass in the parking garage there. Which, by the way, that's the big difference when you look at the things, right? You look at Charlottesville 2017, and you look at BLM riots in 2020. So you had, 5, 6 white dudes there beating the fuck out of this black guy in retaliation for him beating one of their people is what it was. Which, by the way, nobody ever talks about that whole thing, is that's why we'll talk about it today, because it's like, yeah, it started out because that black dude legitimately tried to start some shit and try to beat some old man over the fucking head with a mag light, dude. Which then led to the retaliation by the guys beating the fuck out of the parking lot is what it was there. Only for the one guy to be like, guys, back off, after they kicked crap was what it was. Let them basically walk away is what it was then, dude. Meanwhile, you don't have BLM and Antifa terrorism doing that shit in 2020, dude. No. They beat people to death in the fucking streets, man. There's 2 famous ones out there of video evidence from 2020 of that. You had the one where it was a guy with a sword trying to protect his business from these asshole looters is what it was. And they basically kicked him to death in a fucking mob. And mind you, that was more black people than anything, if that be the case, than the black terrorism there is what it was, dude. And then there was a second one where it was Antifa beating some dude over the head and stuff like that onto the ground. And like, I forget exactly what city it was. It was one of the major cities though. And you have this other Antifa piece of shit do a fucking running start and go up and fucking kick that guy in the head so fucking hard it basically like kicked his head like a fucking soccer ball to where if he wasn't already dead, that either snapped his neck and killed him or it gave him severe brain damage where he would have had a brain bleed then is what it was. So, yeah, it's fucking bullshit, dude, entirely. And it's exactly why, and I've said before, I'll say it before, I'll say it again now. This is exactly why you have the pendulum go up to a point right now where the screws are about to snap. And as soon as the fucking shit goes the other way, the screws are going to pop, the bolts are going to snap, all that shit like that, dude. It's all rusted out right now. And you're going to see it take out everybody that's fucking awake, dude, when it swings back towards the left at that point. And they're going to end up willing in an actual right-wing fascist dictator in the presidency or, a bunch of governorships, whatever it is here, man, at some point in the near future. A bunch of general assemblies are going to go like so hard right, etc. there, dude. It's not going to be funny because of these fucking idiots. It's like these dumb cunts that want to walk around in the stupid-ass Handmaid's Tale outfits all the time, bitching about my body, my choice. Yeah, it's called another body inside your fucking womb, you stupid fucking cunt. It's called basic biology, you stupid bitches. Maybe you shouldn't have the ability to actually reproduce then if that'd be the case if you're not going to have a fucking kid like that. Maybe you should just go to a place and get sterilized for life then. Fuck you, ho. So, anyway. But nah, seriously, bro. It's fucking ridiculous what it is. People are so fucking dumb, dude. And mind you, all these fucking little retards like that are doing that kind of crap have voting rights by default in this country for some reason. They shouldn't, by the way. They should have the best constitutional test of voting rights in this country. That's what it is. So, because at least then maybe they respect the damn Constitution and the fucking, flag represents and stuff like that is what it is. So, anyway. But, I'm getting off track, though, is what it is. So, to get back on track, though, yeah, Charlottesville PSYOP was mentioned in this whole thing. We then jump to the vanilla snow cones, a.k.a. the Big Igloo. I say vanilla snow cones, obviously, I'm not so sure about the if the book boys are allowed to be mentioned on this site without, possible channel striking and stuff like that. But yeah, it's the Hawaiian short-wearing dumbasses what it is there, which, by the way, I want to point something with a lot of those guys, because it's like chapter by chapter with those dudes is what it is, but I think there's a lot of them they're located centrally in Virginia is what it is there. And I know for a fact at least a couple of those guys have been cool with BLM terrorism in the past. And that's why I said previously, I think there's several of those guys in there. They would almost be like the younger generation of military dudes that got in and out or whatever. They're in like their early 20s and stuff like that. That either don't know anything about anything and are just kind of, mentally retarded, basically, is what it is there. And it also could be the fact that they have been growing up in a communist, public education system and stuff like that, to where that's why they're cool with these people is what it is then. Because the thing about it is, dude, those people are not cool with you at all, bro. Like, they hate your fucking guts in most cases because you're white, legitimately. So, like, why would you ever fucking be on their side is what it is, dude. Seriously, it's fucking stupid. It's like asking for your own end is what it is, man. So, but anyway, so they follow that up with that alley guy again, slandering these guys as jihadist terrorists, even though that fucking dude legitimately looks like an Islam infiltrator himself in this country, for real. So I'm gonna go ahead and show a picture of this guy in a second here, because that alley guy is a real fucking scumbag entirely, bro. Like, he is a sack of fucking shit for sure. Like, this dude looks fucking evil for real, man. Like, I'll tell you what, if I ever saw a Crossroads demon in real life, I would assume it's this fucking guy, this alley guy right here, man. Like, that dude just looks like very, very, very evil. This is actually a better representation of what he looked like in that documentary here. Yeah, he just looks like he honestly, I'll tell you what he reminds me of. He reminds me of that one season of 24 where it's I'm trying to think what the guy's fucking name is now. I want to say Muhammad Hassan, but that's not what it is. It's one of the terrorist guys that was killed years ago. Actually, he kind of looks like the dad that was in that was the terror cell of people that were Islamic and stuff like that in that season. He kind of reminds me of that dude a little bit as well. But I was going to say, he reminds me more of the, I want to say Marwan was the guy's name, maybe? Like Habib Marwan or something like that. I think what they called him, if I'm not mistaken, in that series. He was like the main terrorist guy. That was what it was. He kind of reminds me of that dude a little bit in many cases. So this guy actually looks like he could be a friend of like Chonk Uger's too, or like family of Chonk Uger for that matter too, as well on top of that. So yeah, this dude just looks fucking evil. And mind you, this guy is an ex-FBI agent for that matter. So who now runs the Safon group here is what it is, which if you look into the actual group there, it is legitimately, oh yeah, there we go. I was right about him being Islamic then. Yeah, Beirut, Lebanon is where he's born from. So, yep, American Lebanese. Okay, so yeah, he is basically Islamic follower, then that'll be the case, probably, most likely. So, but yeah, when you start looking into the group he actually founded, here's what it is. He's the CEO of. This group is fucking mercenaries, dude, legitimately. Because it's all like armed security and shit like that is what it is there. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they were armed security both for the government, but then also like overseas military, like military contractor guys, or whatever the case be then, kind of like Blackwater used to be and stuff like that. Or like in that Jericho show, they called them Ravenwood and stuff like that, is what it was. So, but yeah. From there, and then shift back to that Eric dude, talking about how he started part of the 3%ers there, and he also founded a group called the Southern Patriot Council. This is when mega cunt Ali Sofan, and I'll tell you what, man, this guy legitimately was trying to slander literally everybody as the good little Fed boy he once was, where he was equating people who have a problem with the tyrannical government in the U.S. to those who are going to carry out massacres against minorities or would basically be anti-Semites and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? But like I said, it was funny because this is about, I think this is around the 21-minute mark, we're taking that documentary and stuff like that. And the funny thing about it is, though, is that while he shits on people about being, killing folks based on like religion and stuff like that, he is unknowingly admitting that Islam is a domestic terrorist threat in the United States of America right now, is what it is. So, from there, they basically go to shit talk Stuart Rhodes, the guy that's the founder of the Oath Keepers and stuff like that. They also show a little bit of footage from the Bundy Ranch standoff back in the day, which was one of the first things they were involved in because it was like a couple years after Rhodes created that group is what it was then. So yeah, they're shit talking him and the Oath Keepers and stuff like that while showing BLM terrorists in 2020. Like they're supposedly peaceful protesters or everything, even though they really obviously weren't. They're obviously trying to burn shit down, is what it was there. This fucking fake ass doc, by the way, also tried to jerk off Breonna Taylor as if she wasn't a knee deep drug queen, basically. Drug queen pin. Literally driving around dead bodies in a fucking car trunk and shit like that, dude. For those who don't know about the Breonna Taylor story, they obviously tried to fake as if she was some kind of fucking paramedic that was killed by the cops unjustly or whatever the case be. She wasn't, dude. She was knee deep in drug stuff. She was a hardcore fucking criminal at that point. She was engaged in activity with other criminals. She was dating guys who were criminals and wanted by the cops is what it was there. And yeah, she fucking got is what it was, dude. Now, granted, should that no-knock warrant have actually existed? No, it shouldn't have. But that being said, there's been different confirmation on both sides of the fucking thing that there was actually knocking happening that night. And these people identifying themselves as cops is what it was then. So, but yeah, it's just a bunch of shit all the way around. But by the way, I also want to point this out too, for that matter, because of the fact they brought up Breonna Taylor's ass. One thing they also never mentioned in this documentary is how one day, this is because nobody really knows this what it is except people like myself who actually look into this stuff. Literally one fucking day after Breonna Taylor's death in that state of Louisiana, or sorry, not Louisiana, in Louisville, Kentucky, you had Duncan Lemp, who was a great patriotic man, being murdered in the middle of fucking night in Maryland by state police there simply because he wanted to live free and not report tyrannical government bullshit, and they tried to falsely red flag his ass is what it was then. To this day, there's been no police body cam footage released because it doesn't really exist is what it is there because they turned out the fucking cams and probably killed this kid is what it was in cold blood. His family has tried to sue the shit out of the state of Maryland and a bunch of other fucking PDs and stuff like that for that matter too that help kill his kids, help kill their son is what it was. And yet, meanwhile, no mainstream media coverage, barely even any local coverage for the whole thing. And yet, meanwhile, you get months and months of this stupid fucking cunt Breonna Taylor is what it is, dude. And her fucking dumbass black supremacist buddies what it is there trying to do terrorist shit there, which, by the way, NFAC, that fucking idiot group created by that moron Grandmaster Jay who's now in federal prison for gun charges and stuff like that and pointing guns at feds and cops and stuff like that is what it was, dude. That fucking dumb motherfucker went down there to Louisville, Kentucky around that same time period of history there in 2020 and was legitimately threatening public officials in office that they were going to kill these people if they didn't fucking release a bunch of shit and like basically bring the cops to justice that supposedly killed Breonna is what it was there, dude. Yet, meanwhile, that dude, his entire fucking group of people weren't brought up on fucking terrorism charges or seditious conspiracy like they tried to get Stuart Rhodes and all these Oath Keeper guys for is what it was there for January 6th is what it was. So, yeah. Our justice system has totally fucking failed, man, for sure, 100% across the board. So, it's a bunch of shit entirely, dude. From there, it goes back to that Michael Byrne guy who, at this point, was labeled as a CEO of a group called Human Rights First. Is then shown, again, talking shit about other military vets who join and create militia groups. So I was actually looking into this this Human Rights First group this Mike guy was part of here. So from what I figured out about it, this group is 100% basically another SPLC, ACLU, bunch of left-tard fucking shitbirds, basically, is what it is there. And they may or may not actually be child sex traffickers, for that matter, which wouldn't surprise me either, because they supposedly talk about doing like, you know, like human rights stuff across the world and stuff like that. But really, what they're doing is they're like going into these places and being like, no, these people should totally be protected. Let's turn them into refugees, and then they basically like take them to other places and stuff like that. And them just kidnapping kids, basically, what it is at the end of the day, man. You know, so a bunch of sick shit for sure. Let's see. We then jump back to Jason Crow's ass, that piece of shit, and this other guy named, what's this dude's name now? Denver Riggleman, who was ex-Air Force officer and ex-congressman for Virginia, who was also an advisor for the 1-6 committee is what it was there, which was this guy's totally full of shit, honestly, on that one, dude. So is Crow, obviously. Both these guys are shit talking vets at that time in this whole thing, who joined up with militias and stuff like that. And then you got the Christopher Goldsmith guy, then starts talking shit about Stuart Rhodes as if he duped him into joining the Oath Keepers and stuff like that. Which I don't know if that Goldsmith guy actually was part of the Oath Keepers at one or not. Was one of them at one point or not? If that be the case, but he's basically was like shit talking Stuart Rhodes like crazy and being like, "Oh yeah, everybody thinks Rhodes was a combat vet because he lost an eye, but it was really because he lost an eye from a range accident or something like that, from being stupid and negligent and stuff like that." But yeah, it's like him basically just trying to slander Rhodes is what it is, dude. And like I said, if Stuart Rhodes is actually out of prison right now, he could easily sue that Goldsmith guy for slander defamation too, for that matter, honestly, bro. So, anyway. Then we got that retard cunt Kathleen Belo returning and trying to equate military vets and militias to the literal fucking Ku Klux Klan, bro. Like, I don't know what the hell kind of fucking retard mentality and like acid trip of fucking Democrat bullshit you got to be on at that point, dude, to go down that road. But obviously she went down it without hesitation, bro. She then tried to equate white nationalist types to the Boogaloo guys, who, by the way, like I said, in many cases are actually pro-BLM idiots is what it is. And then we got, then it flips to this guy in Kentucky footage, is what it was from like 2020, talking about during summer of 2020, September 2020 there, the BLM riots and stuff over Brown Taylor's ass, that he was actually fearful that these terrorists were actually going to do something, is what it was, dude. And that's exactly why he called up his local militia and joined them for protection and basically having backup with it, was what it was then. And so, yeah, what he's basically was saying there was like, this is the reason these groups exist, is to help people like me out, is what it was. And be there for people like him that could actually would need them and stuff like that, is like, to have their back as a secondary or thirdary person, is what it is, And he would just be like solo out there versus like, a fucking mob of Antifa and BLM terrorists, is what it is then. You have like 10 guys, 12 guys having their back, is what it is then. So, but yeah, it was really fucking retarded how they did this whole thing, dude, because you basically had, like, it was just really weird in general with that Kathleen woman, because she was essentially trying to push like the whole like, oh, vets this, and oh, there was a bunch of vets in the fucking Klan and stuff, and it's like it was such a bunch of shit, dude. Like, it was such a goddamn reach, it wasn't even funny, honestly, dude. And like I said, if you watch this as long as I did and you're not like fucking fuming with anger by the 40-minute mark, I don't know what's wrong with you, bro, because you need to be at that point, honestly, seriously. But yeah, then we got that Denver Riggleman talking a bunch of shit about 1-6. You got that idiot Goldsmith calling 1-6 an insurrection. From there, they went to video footage from Texas in 1981 with a group of actual KKK members, what it was there. Which then you had that Bela woman talking a lot of nonsense about Klan, but never actually admitting that it was created by the Democrat Party. We then go to some woman named Asora Osa. I'm trying to think of this woman's name. Yeah, it's Esosa Osa, which sounds like a fucking made-up name, by the way, entirely. It's literally spelled Esosa is the first name, and then her last name is Osa, who is the supposed deputy exec director of a group called Fair Fight Action. So I looked into these people. They are legitimately election interferers. They are ballot box stuffers, etc. from 2020. They are a bunch of Democrats trying to turn general assemblies more blue and stuff like that, with bullshit gerrymandering crap and everything else like that is what it is. So they then spent about 5 to 10 minutes there, give or take, trying to equate the Klan violence to current election rigging by Democrats, etc., etc. And this is pretty much where I dipped out on that one, dude, because I was just sick and tired of it. I couldn't deal with it after that then, because I was like, enough is enough, basically. I know there's other stuff in the end part of this whole thing, because I know it's about like an hour and a half in or so almost, because I sort of zipped through it before that is what it was, where they were talking about the whole Whitmer kidnapping plot bullshit and basically just lying their asses off about that whole thing and trying to be like, oh yeah, it was all these right-wing guys. It's like, no, it wasn't, you idiots. It was like fucking 2 dudes y'all fucking entrapped with like 14 fucking Fed informants is what was there. And actually, I was talking to somebody the other day about the whole thing, And they even said how, I guess, there's been more stuff that came out of local level and stuff like that, where it was either one of the guys that was one of the 13, 14 dudes there that were the Fed informant guys or whatever, may have actually been a federal agent for that matter. And they were trying to extort some dude's wife to fuck him, and she wasn't having it. And then basically when they went after her husband is what it was, is one of these dudes, and whatever the case be. So yeah, it's all government fuckery is what it is, dude. It's all tyrannical government, top of tyrannical government at that point, dude. And I, for one, am so fucking sick and tired of it, honestly. This whole entire so-called documentary was nothing more than a fucking slander of veterans in this country. It was a way to shit talk every vet in this nation. It was a way to shit talk their fucking family members, for that matter. It was a way to shit talk Americans as a whole that want to join up with movements like a constitutional militia or anything else for that matter, as if they're fucking white hate by default is what it is then. And it's so fucking slanderous bullshit, dude. Like, I don't understand how there's not like several dozen lawsuits already for defamation and slander against everybody that was involved in this shit that was shit talking these people, dude, is what it was. Because there fucking needs to be at this point, honestly. Like, I would say anybody that was directly slandered, like Stuart Rhodes and stuff like that, have a very good slander / defamation lawsuit against anybody that was shit talking him. There is what it is. And I think that groups like the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, etc., all have very good lawsuits against that Kathleen Belo woman, against that Ali Safan guy, etc., for shit talking them is what it is, dude, and trying to equate them to like white hate and stuff like that. So, yeah, I would love to see these groups just sue the fuck out of these people at this point, dude, and just bury their asses in the lawsuits right now, because it would be the best thing to happen in this country right now, honestly, man. I don't know if it ever will or not, but it'd be fucking great if it did, honestly. So, but yeah, other than that, though, that's my review for this whole thing. It was leftist trash, is what it is. It was an hour and 40-something minutes, though. I could only get through the first 40 minutes without being to the point where I wanted to flip over a fucking table, dude. That's how pissed off I was by the end of that whole thing. And the thing was, too, like, I'll tell you what, that 40 minutes of that, dude, dragged on for so, like, I know I actually had to stop for a couple times, here's what it was, to, like, get names and shit of people, but, like, even still, like, when I started firing up again or whatever to like, go, like, 1 or 2 minutes felt like about 20, honestly, with this whole thing, dude. Like, it was, like, the slowest paced thing ever, and it's, like, every second that takes by just gets you more and more pissed is what it is then, because you know these people are trying to slander your ass by default is what it is then. And yeah, it's a bunch of shit all the way around, dude. I'm fucking so sick and tired of all of it, dude. So yeah, fuck these people all the way around, dude, is what it is. But anyway. I was trying to think who this Kathleen woman looks like to me. Because I know there's like a state rep here in Ohio she kind of reminds me of a little bit. And I was trying to think which one it was now. Actually, there's a couple. There's a couple that she could be looking like. I was trying to find like one of these dumbass pictures. That's a real dumbass looking picture of her, by the way. Actually, I'll tell you, she kind of reminds me. She kind of reminds me of. It might not be Ohio. It might be like another state general assembly or whatever the case be. Because she reminds me of some blonde in one of those places. What it is there, man. But yeah, you can just tell she's like a TDS dumb cunt is what it is, dude. With her stupid little glasses on, acting like she's all smart and shit like that. Tries to call herself a doctor when she just says fucking doctor is what it is then. What is this shit right here? Yeah. Exposing the disguise. University of Chicago historian Kathleen Belo spotlights the rising white power movement. What a fucking joke, dude. The only white power is her fucking dumbass, dude, being an anti-white racist piece of shit is what it is. And just a self-hating leftist. That's what it really is, by the way. It's these fucking people like her that hate themselves for being white is what it is, legitimately, dude. And they know for a fact the only people you can actually attack in this country, literally, by being a fucking racist sack of shit, is white people. Without being labeled a racist, without being canceled, without having your accounts fucking, flip the switch off them and stuff like that is what it is there. So. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I just clicked on another thing from this woman here because it was a SoundCloud thing. Here's what it is. So we got this bullshit. Kathleen Belo on white supremacy in paramilitary America. This is 2 years ago from her little stupid ass little Bring the Fucking War Home dumbass book. I didn't realize there's more to it than that. Yeah, it's called Bring the War Home, the White Power Movement in Paramilitary America. Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Seriously, why do we allow women like this, or anybody like this for that matter, to be in any position of authority, especially as a fucking tenured professor, dude? Like, it just blows me away, honestly. I'll tell you what, if I become governor of the state of Ohio in a couple years, dude, like, one of the first things I'm doing by executive order is, like, any tenured professors in the state can automatically be fired on the spot is what it is then. Especially if they're spewing, like, leftist trash like this fucking stupid cunt is, man. And, yeah, we just get rid of a bunch of these shitbirds like that's what it is then. Oh, apparently, I guess this dumb bitch has written multiple books now because we got another one saying, what's this one called now? Myth America, historians take on the biggest legends and lies about our past. Yeah, except the fact that y'all are fucking liars is what it is, you fucking cunts. So, anyway. I really fucking hate these people so much, dude, is what it is. Yeah, so it was her and two ugly ass dudes that wrote this piece of shit book. Here's what it was then. What a bunch of fucking garbage people, dude. You know, I wonder if I wrote a book just called Kathleen Belo is a Mega Cunt, if it would be a bestseller right now or not. So, I mean, it would be true, honestly, man. Speaking of mega cunts, if you follow our X page, I actually put something on there earlier today where it was this woman trying to prove to be like a peak female, having peak female performance or whatever the case be, and she literally had a bottle of lotion that she was squeezing with her snatch lips, dude. And it's just like, that's fucked up, man. And then it was her basically like moving them around like they were like scissors or something like that. It was really kind of creepy, actually. So, but anyway. But yeah, like I said, though, this whole fucking BS documentary is nothing more than fucking leftist propaganda, is what it is, dude. Should people watch it? If you want to be pissed, I would. Um, like I said, I couldn't even get through half of it, dude, because it pissed me off that much. Like I said, I know, having skimmed through it previously to this, they do go into other stupid bullshit, like the whole Michigan crap is what it is, and just lie about that like fucking crazy. And yeah, I guarantee they're shit talking veterans more after the 40-minute mark is what it is, dude. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to finish the whole thing. I don't think I will though, because again, it's pissing me off is what it is. So, we gotta get this real quick. Sorry about that. My uncle was calling me up, trying to arrange a time we can go get some stuff is what it is. So do some things together. But yeah, so basically that Kathleen woman is a mega cunt. She's a dumb bitch, and so is everybody else involved in this piece of shit, fake ass documentary that was nothing more than leftist propaganda crap is what it is, dude. And this is the thing, I totally understand, like, because people always talked about that throughout like the history of like World War II and like Nazi Germany's propagandic shit and stuff like that. And I can tell you right now, like I see the parallels 100% right now with what was Nazi Germany in the 1930s and 40s and stuff like that to what we're seeing right now with the modern day left in this country, dude. And it's a scary fucking factor in this nation, dude, because what they're doing is they're trying to slander everybody for what they themselves actually are is what it is. So it's just really fucked up in general, dude. And yeah, I think we're definitely like, I think we're on the precipice of multiple things right now, which I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're going to see, depending on how things go in this nation in the next couple of months and stuff, when it comes to potential like civil wars and shit, I think you're going to see a lot of agent provocateurs on both sides of what it is right now, which I say that for that fact of the matter being is that when I say both sides, what I mean by that is I think you're going to have people implanted in both sides of the fucking aisle, is what it is there. That on the left, it would just be like these actually Antifa types and stuff like that want to destroy this country. And then you'd have like some random like Fed informant or Fed boy, whatever the case be, implanted on the right side is what it is there to like stir shit up as well, for that matter. And, you know, maybe it's like them being the one that like throws the first, you know, Molotov at some Antifa group or something like that kind of thing is what it is, like kick something off. And then it goes down in history as like, oh yeah, you know, it was the right starting things first, or whatever the case be, or shooting first, or whatever it is there and whatnot. So I don't know. It's all fucked up, man. But yeah, we're definitely in for a fucked up time ahead, I think, in this country right now. And things are not going to be good when it's all said and done. And I think we're definitely heading down a really, really bad path right now to where we probably won't be able to come back from it in any time in the near future, if at all. So, you know, the best thing right now, my advice to everybody would be prepare for the best, hope, or yeah, prepare for the best, hope for the worst. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best, because it's probably going to come at some point, dude. Like, maybe not quite the worst, but like, it's going to get bad for sure. Like, there's going to be some bad shit happening across the board at some point, I believe, like very soon, within the next few months or so, give or take, like leading into the summertime here is my guess, honestly. And, you know, whether it be this eclipse next week kicking things off, whether it be some other stuff kicking some other stuff off. But yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some weird transitional periods happening in this nation right now where I think you're going to end up seeing violence spew out of a lot of shit is what it is there. And I know for a fact that a lot of it's going to be leftist violence towards right-wing people is what it is. And I think the more and more that we see of that, the less likelihood we're actually going to be able to have an actual functioning country when it's all said and done. So, yeah, it's not going to be good at all, man. So needless to say, we are in for some very fucked up times ahead right now. And it's something that we need to discuss more and more, I believe, and start figuring out ways to combat this shit if we can, because we've already seen what's happening with our country currently, dude, and the political propaganda and the fucking political prisoner bullshit over January 6th and everything like that. So I don't know if there's any way to stop it really right now, honestly. Like, should we just having like a full-blown rise up in this country of like all Americans pretty much? And we just start doing mass deportations of illegals and shit like that's what it is, and a bunch of other things, take it back our country like that's what it'll be then or something. But yeah, with the exception of that, I have no idea then, man. So but yeah, I think we're definitely in for some bad shit ahead right now, especially when you have there's now, I've seen multiple articles popping off of some like new avian/bird flu coming out now that is hitting some Texas chicken farm or something like that now. And as people were saying, if eggs were expensive before, they're going to be kicking up like crazy if you have to cull a bunch of birds there in that area, because it's like one of the biggest manufacturers there for egg production, I guess. And then not only that, but I guess this particular like bird flu strain or whatever the case be can jump from like animal to animal, like from specifically like chicken to cat or chicken to dog, whatever the case be, and then that can actually jump from those animals to human beings and stuff like that. So, and then not only that, but I guess there's also that same migrant shelter there in Chicago that had the measles outbreak not long ago. Now has a fucking tuberculosis outbreak going on in it, dude. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, people, stop letting these fucking third world trash ass people into our fucking country who have never had a vaccine in their fucking lives and are clearly spreading fucking third, fourth world diseases, what it is right now, dude, into the first world here. Kick them the fuck back out of our country, seriously. Stop letting fucking typhoid marry into the fucking nation and wonder where we got fucking typhus coming back again or something in the future. So, it's fucking ridiculous, dude, is what it is. Shit pisses me the fuck off. Like, I should just really piss off everybody for that matter. It's fucking ridiculous what it is, dude. It's unnecessary. It's fucking bullshit. It's a bunch of things. So, anyway. But yeah, other than that, though, that's pretty much where I'm at for the day right now. I don't really got much else to say than that. But, yeah, things are about to get really, really fucked up in this country, I think. And it's really only a matter of time right now before you see like a full-blown collapse of this nation, whether it be on itself or whether it just be, you know, whatever. But something bad is going to happen. And I think it's only a matter of time before it does right now. And when it does, like I said, it's going to be so quick that people ain't even going to have time to realize it's happening until after the fact, man. They're going to be like, oh shit, that really was what happened then. So, because that's the one thing I've noticed more recently, looking into a bunch of like historical stuff is what it is. That's my own, you know, doing my own historical research is what it is here. And trying to be my own kind of historian is what it is there. Is there's a lot of fucking shit like that, you know, like people always say it's like, oh yeah, it's like this thing or that thing, whatever the case be. It's like, no, dude, like there's a lot of this shit that's actually like predestined to happen. And you can actually see the signs of it like happening before it happens kind of thing. And if you're able to predict that shit, you can easily stop it in a lot of cases. And that's the problem right now is people don't want to stop that stuff is what it is. They want to go and they want to have their fucking cake and eat it too kind of shit is what it is there. And literally destroy our fucking nation is what it is, bro. So I don't know what to do to fix it. I really don't, man. I don't have the answers right now, I think. And I don't think really anybody does for that matter. And, you know, if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Who the fuck knows? But, yeah, we're definitely in for some really, really... Saw something there is what it was. Sorry, I'm trying to game as well. I'm doing here right now. But anyway, yeah, it was the guy being like, oh, we can only do one of your dudes, not all three of them. And it's like, well, whatever, dude. I'm not going to bother with them if that be the case. So, zero needs for it. So, I'll just stay where I'm at right now is what it is for the time being. But anyway. So, yeah. Like I said, though, shit's about to get fucking nuts is what it is, bro. And I think it's just going to get more and more crazy as time goes by. So, apparently at reset is when we started jumping into this new region then. So that's cool. But anyway. So yeah, that being said though, that's pretty much what I'm at for the day right now. I'll be back sometime tomorrow with Freedom Friday, and we'll be discussing potentially the end of the world come Monday. So other than that, have a good one, y'all. Stay safe, all that good stuff like that. And make sure you're stocked up on ammo and ready to go just in case, man, because you never fucking know what's going to happen come this week. So later, y'all.